Performance Assessment Development by Brittany Davis. The standard for student learners is to explain how the narrator's or speaker's point of view impacts how events are described within a literary text. There are 4 learning targets for this standard. The first learning target, or knowledge learning target, is for students to know the point of view, the narrator or speaker, and the similarities and differences within the literary text. Students need to know how events are explained within a literary text and how it can uncover the narrator or speaker's point of view. The reasoning learning target wants students to explain how events are described based on the narrator's or speaker's point of view. The skill learning target wants the students to read fluently enough to be able to understand the text and the concept of the text. The product learning target wants students to be able to describe and read the literary text, the narrator speaker's point of view, and retell descriptions and orders of events of the text. At the beginning of the lesson, students will be given instructions. Within the lesson, students will be given a literary text to read. After reading the literary text, students will answer questions pertaining to this text. They will answer these questions on a separate worksheet after reading the literary text. When finished, students will be assessed on their answers and provided feedback from the teacher or educator. Students should follow the attached rubric for criteria requirements. For this assessment, a student-friendly template was created. This student-friendly template was created using the GRASPS tool. Within this template, the student's goal is to know the point of view, the narrator or speaker, and the similarities or differences within the literary text that they read. The student will be a contributor to whole group discussions within the classroom, and the audience will be classmates and educators. The student will be given a literary text to read, and the student will draw a picture or write on a piece of paper what they believe the point of view is and who the narrator or speaker is, as well as similarities, differences throughout the literary text. The student will be able to read fluently enough to be able to understand the text and the concept of the text. The student will be able to identify events, point of views, narrators or speakers, and the similarities or differences. The writing will be assessed by using a performance task rubric. The student is encouraged to use the standards and criteria implemented within the rubric to self-assess. The student rubric that is given to student learners at the beginning of the lesson contains certain criteria to follow. This criteria is important for the self-assessment process. The criteria consists of comprehending and reading the literary text fluently, identifying point of view, narrators or speakers, events and similarities or differences, and explaining how events are described within the literary text. Learning targets are presented to all students and written in student-friendly language for students to comprehend easily. They are specific and easy to understand when being explained. Students are also provided with knowledge of the overall goal of the lesson. For the assessment, students are provided a worksheet with closed-ended questions pertaining to the literary text. The assessment design is a summative assessment that aligns with the goals and expected outcomes of the instruction. At the end of the lesson, the students are provided with a worksheet with closed-ended questions. Within these closed-ended questions, the criteria is appropriate to the learning. These closed-ended questions will also demonstrate the student's comprehension of the literary text. When providing feedback to student learners, one-on-one sessions will be given to each student. These one-on-one sessions will be 5 minutes each, and within these one-on-one sessions, feedback will be provided with corrections and clarification to the student if needed. Students will also receive feedback through their student rubric. The student rubric will contain a continuum that represents realistic expectations for the content and grade level.